Rob Loman Kennworthy, rally legend. This guy was insane. Me and Daddy used to watch videos of him driving his right-hand drive GT2. It's silver with the Union Jack flag on the roof. And this guy was absolute maniac. One of the most famous quotes that made Rob popular is he was on the 03 Gumball racing his Supra. I believe the Supra was owned by IMV Films. And they pulled up next to him and they were trying to tell him that they had a fast Mustang that they wanted to race him. All he said was, "It's not a race, it's a rally," and then just took off.
It's not a race, it's a rally. Holy what did he say? This guy's nuts! He just said it's not a race, it's a rally.
That famous quote became the subtext of any rally. And it was always a joke too, and people were like, "Why are you racing it? It's a rally, we're not racing." When Dad and I went on the Gumball, the 02 Gumball, Rob was on a part of that rally too. He had a silver SL55, and SL55 wasn't even out in the States yet. We only had the SL500. We saw him on the rally, but there was so much going on. We didn't really get to talk. I did feature one of his Gumball stories at like the bonus section of our second movie, Mischief 3000.
But they were quite clever because they caught us 3 times out of 3. They weren't just sitting there with the radar detectors on. They had binoculars. They're looking through the binoculars. He knows roughly the time it takes to go down the dip and up the dip, so he'd wait till he sees it going down, he'd wait 5 seconds and 5, 4, 3, 2, turn it on. And so it's like, beep, beep, he's got you.
He was like one of the most talked about guys on this rally. And I had no idea how much of a monster an SL55 was. I mean, this is a 200-mile-an-hour convertible. I had no idea. After we finished the Gumball, Dado's famous 99 M3 got stolen. We were planning on doing the 2003 Players Run, LA to Miami, and Dado bought a 1995 blue M3 the night before, and he was planning on getting this car built in Miami, so what better way of transporting it to Miami from LA than do this rally. Rob was on this rally with his brother, and he recognized us from the Gumball 3000 video. So it was pretty awesome because he wanted to be part of our video and hang out with us, so he stayed with us the whole rally. So we got to really know him and how crazy he was. The start of the rally left in LA, and as we're coming out of the parking garage at the start line, he was standing on the side of the road and he said,
"My water pump blew up, I've got another one flying from London now, so I'll see you in Vegas tonight."
And he said, "I called Mercedes, there's not another one available in the world."
We blew a water pump bearing, and so Mercedes-Benz said there's not another one in the world. So I had a friend of mine in the UK, he took his off his SL55, gave it to another friend, he flew over, 15 hours later, we had a water pump. Awesome. German reliability.
A little ball bearing that big stopped the beast, but now the beast is going.
This is something Rob would do. This is like a Gumball story. The amount of money spent just to keep the cars on the road. That's the whole purpose of these rallies, is to keep going no matter what. Everywhere we went, he had doing donuts. I mean, he would fly by, of course, wait for us. He would be in the median, anywhere in the dirt, just doing donuts. And this is like a brand new car. And so after a while, you get to feel out the drivers. We were with the fast group of cars, and we were in the middle of Texas, nothing around, and we had a radio keeping track of the cops. We heard that there was a cop following us 2 miles behind us. So we all get off the exit, and we're realizing that the cars, you can see the cars from miles away. There's really nowhere to go. So we follow Crazy Rob, and we split up from the group, and we go down into this embankment, down into this dry ditch. It hadn't been rain. It hadn't rained here forever. So we hide in this ditch. It was low enough for the people going by the highway couldn't see us. So we followed him in there with another Porsche, and then we realized as we're waiting there, there's these thorns this big that punctured most of the tires. So while we're trying to deal with this, we're not paying attention. Dado pulls his car up on the highway, and a cop comes by, sees it, comes by and asks what we're doing. Of course, talks to Rob. Rob's our spokesperson.
Just to make things worse, that little straight 6 car over parked there, state trooper came along, really nice guy, nothing on us. Stopped and said, "Are you all trying to hide?" And we said, "No." I think he guessed we were trying to hide.
Thanks a lot for not arresting us or turning us in or anything like that.
Thanks, Scotty.
Yeah, but he thought it was more funny than anything. He even called a couple buddy cop friends, and they're just standing there watching and laughing, and Rob raises the suspension of the SL. Instead of going around, he just goes straight up a hill and just trashed his car even more. They let us go, and we went to the nearest gas station and just bought all the Fix-A-Flat just to get out of that area, because we were, like I said, we were in the middle of nowhere. And then a couple days later, we run into a situation in Florida where we had the same thing. A cop comes up behind us, but they knew we were coming, so everybody was freaking out. All these police were jumping on the highway, and they're trying to block us, and you'll see us again going into a ditch, and we're following this guy, Danger Aaron from Jackass. We're following him you know, under the road with the same Porsche that before we're hiding from the police. You know, we don't know where Rob is. We don't know where anybody is. When we pulled off the side of the road to hide from the police with Danger Aaron from Jackass, I threw that in there because there's a side story of Danger Aaron I never talked about. It's a real quick side story. And we were kind of doing the official, non-official movie for this 03 Players Run. Every chance we got, we were filming him, and he was perfect on camera.
We're ready to race. I meant rally.
Rally.
Forgive me. We're rally racers. Yeah, that works. Because we're racing in a rally that really isn't a race.
It's a race.
We're trying to like go the speed limit, officer.
The movie came out and he said he loved it. A couple months later, we got a letter from his lawyer saying that he was going to sue us because he never signed a consent form to be in our movie. So I was like, oh, what is this, man? We talked to the Players Run organizer and he had everybody sign consent forms and he included us in that. So he had no lawsuit, you know, and I really don't think he really cared and wanted to sue us. I think it was just his lawyer being greedy. Because later on, a couple of friends were at a bar in like Seattle with him and he was on the phone with me like we were old friends. So that was just, I just thought that was a story that we never told. So back to Rob's story. 2003, we did the Cannonball Run Europe. And Rob brought along his famous GT2. Had 550 horsepower. And he didn't really go into what was done to this car, but the way he drove this car, it just seemed like it had more than 550 horsepower. And that car was him. I mean, I thought Dado was a good driver. This is the best driver to this date that I know. I got out of the Mondale for a day and I got to ride with Rob in Spain and France. And it was the most insane ride ever because he was now familiar with the videos. I'm sitting on the left side of the car and we call it the rally stage through the mountains. And it was the most insane thing. Every chance he got on these tight roads with the guardrail on one side, he would drift the car. And I remember this one time we're going through a tunnel, 180 miles an hour in a tunnel, and we caught air.
Oh
my God. Oh, ow.
Airborne 180. Nice.
In a tunnel, 180 airborne. The first time I'm riding in a car on a 2-lane road on a mountain, he goes by a car, passes them, but on the shoulder in the dirt, rips the splitter off. True Rob fashion. The next day, his friend brought a splitter from the UK, flew it to France, and put it on the car.
These roads are, and it took off all my undercarriage, most of my splitter. I had a new one flown over, and it will last probably about an hour and a half.
I give it about an hour and a half.
Hour and a half, I think it'll be good.
And I think that he's the only one that would actually use a splitter at the speeds that he was traveling. But yeah, he was doing 150 mile an hour in the rain, like at the racetrack. He's incredible. So when this rally was over, Rob thought the whole Mondale rental thing was hilarious because everybody would take turns beating on this car. So before Dado and I flew back to the States, he's like, look, a guy that owns this dealership owes me a favor. Let's get a couple cars and do like a little demolition derby before you leave. We're like, why not, you know? Worst idea ever before getting on a plane and flying home. So we went to his friend's house and he had a couple cars there. And one of the cars we looked at was Aston Martin Lagonda. The big, futuristic, weird looking wedge car. And I've never seen one in person before. He started it up and has this really crazy 70s futuristic dashboard. And so Rob's like, you know, how much for this? He wanted 30,000 pounds. What that time in 03 equaled to about $54,000. Rob's like, maybe another time. But then we ran around the corner and he had 2 Jaguar XJs sitting there. Pretty good condition. Rob bought them immediately. We went out into a field and totaled them in about a half an hour. Luckily, we didn't get like major injuries from this because they don't have airbags and the side protections didn't exist in these old Jaguars. So in 04, Rob did the Gumball. We didn't do the Gumball. It was through Europe to Africa. And rumor has it he was with a group of people that got pulled over doing 156 miles an hour. It's always rumors. So I'm like, how could Rob get caught? So I didn't know if that was true or not. But then ever since then, he didn't do any more rallies. So I did the 2006 Gumball rally and started off in London and he was there. hung out with him, partied with him that night. Alex Roy was there. Actually, it's the first time I met Alex Roy. And Rob told us he wasn't going on the rally. So I didn't want to ask him why, but I kind of think he was just getting out of it. 2007, the Players Run came around. We were trying to get Rob on the Players Run, him and his brother, kind of like reunite the band. The organizer didn't want him on the rally. He was too much of a liability. And then since then, I don't think Rob's ever been on a rally. He currently lives in Malta. He's in telecommunications. That's his business. But he's not really on social media. And he did see the Mondeo, me buying the Mondeo video that I posted on YouTube. It's like good times. But other than that, I haven't heard much from him. However, I'd love to buy that car, then reunite it with the Mondeo.